Hi, Sue Wilson, and I've got a lovely recessed Aperture card, but instead of using an embossing folder, we've used one of the dies to do a little bit of a background with it. I'll share with you what we'll be using. So the sentiment comes from our mini shadowed collection. This is Congratulations. We've got a small floral element with the petite forget-me-nots. This is Beatrice. We're going to be using this die for our background. And out of our frames and tags, we're going to use Millie for the focal element. And I've got a little bit of a background behind her with the basket weave background. Okay, pop those over to the side. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and cut the basket weave out of a piece of coconut white card. And just so you know, I don't put any cutting edges on the outside of my backgrounds. And that way, you can put whatever size border you want around your backgrounds. They don't have to be the same exact size, which I love. You just obviously cut it to whatever size you need in a paper cutter. So I've got a piece of coconut white card, and I've just covered it with a sticky adhesive sheet. So I'm going to put the basket weave over this. Just lay it down there. It's a little bit larger than it needs to be. I'm going to give it a good push, make sure it's all adhered using the waxy side of my release paper there. I'm going to bring in some of our frosted sparkle glitter bits and a piece of copy paper. We're going to make it kind of shimmery. Just pop some on there and just move it around, kind of, burnish it in. And get that corner. Okay, tap off all our extra bit. There we go, and we're going to put this right back into our container so there's no waste. Okay, so now I've got a really nice background with just a little bit of tone-on-tone shimmer to that, so you can see a little bit of the glitter coming through. I'm going to come back to this in a minute, set that aside. So we're going to do a little bit of pattern building, and I've just got a piece of white card, and I've cut, let's see, 3, 6, 7, 8, no, 9, no, 8. Of the Beatrice out of white using the inner decorative die and the cutting edge. So what I want to do is I'm going to use some spray glue on the backs of all of these and just give them a second. I'll do a few at a time and then place them. Okay. Let's do those 3. So what you want to do is just pattern build, and it's going to go off the edge of the card. So if you just sort of start in the middle, I find it's easiest about like that. We're going to do, let's do top and bottom. Just about the same distance from the edge. About like that. That works well. Pop that down. Okay. So now I can bring another one in and put that right in between these. Just sort of center that. Do a few more here. Okay. We can build that pattern up just by laying it in between the pattern of the die there. There we go. You can do another one up here. And if you line those tips up, it works really, really well. So basically, just go through the whole thing. I've got one I've done earlier, so you can see how that pattern is just sort of going to build up. We're going to trim away the excess, so you have something that looks like this. All right, now this one I started in the middle. So it doesn't actually matter where you start. The entire background will get built up, and you can trim it to whatever size you want. So I'll set that to the side. So now what we want to do is cut an aperture in the center of this. So I'm going to bring in my Millie die, and this die has a regular cutting edge and a decorative cutting edge. So what I want to do is bring in the regular cutting edge. I'm going to tape it into place and just going to sort of use my pattern here and line that up top and bottom with the die so it looks even. There we go. Tape it into place. Bring that over to our cutting plate. Make sure that's not on, that's on the top. There we go. Give it a quick cut. Okay. Pop the center out of that gently with our tape. Okay, and you can even use this centerpiece for another card. We're not going to be using it for this one, but it does give you a really pretty background to use for a later card if you like. So I'll set that to the side. So what I want to do is raise this up with some mounting foam. So I've got some pieces here. I've doubled these up. And let's move that over just a little bit more. Tiny bit. There we go. And one down here. That is just a tiny bit wide there. I'm going to have to thin that out. And pop that underneath that. Let's see if that'll go on there. Same thing, a little bit wide. Tell you what, I'll thin this one in half and then we'll use it on both sides. There we go. And what I usually do is cut some little corner pieces just so the pattern stays really nice and flat. You won't have any sort of saggy bits going around the aperture there. Okay, so now I'm going to put that over the background that we glittered earlier and add a little bit of, oops, get a hold of that. Add a little bit of glue here because you're sticking to glitter and they notoriously don't like to stick to each other. So we are going to pop a little bit of Cosmic Shimmer Dry's Clear Glue on some of these to hold into place. There we go. Okay, bring that in, and I think I'll just pop it upside down, and we will probably have to trim, yes, we are going to have to trim a little bit off of that. That should be even. And I'll bring my scissors right underneath the edge here. Just trim away some of the extra bit. And on this side too. And there. Better too large than too small. That looks pretty good. Okay, so now I can bring this in and seat this on my background. I've used the Old Rose card, which we are going to be using in a second, and a black matte layer there because I'm using that on my sentiment, so I like the way it kind of makes it all balance. A little bit of tape. There we go. And center that right in the black matte. That's looking pretty good. Okay, so now what I want to do is just add a really pretty little border around the edge of that. So I'm going to bring back my Millie die and use both of these cutting edges now on a piece of the Old Rose card. So I'm going to pop that down and just tape that just to hold it still. There we go. And bring in the other one and just sort of line it up so it's equidistant all the way around it. And a couple more pieces here. Let's give that a quick cut. There we go. Okay. Get everything peeled back apart. Oh, and there we have it. Leave this for later. Pop that to the side. So now you can see you've got a really pretty border that you can use around that. So I'm going to give it a quick spray. Let me find my tweezers. Okay, I'll bring this one in. And a little bit of glue where my tweezers were. That'll help a couple bits around. Because you've got some dies under there, it's not quite flat, so having a little bit extra glue on there is going to help. And then carefully seat that right over the same exact area it was cut from. And all your little scallop areas should line up pretty. There we go. So it really does bring that aperture out for you. Okay, so next, I've gone ahead and cut the Beatrice out of the Old Rose with an Old Rose backing. Added a little bit of mounting foam to the back there. We're going to seat that right in the middle. There we go. I've got the word congratulations done with the black die cut for the fine lettering and a white shadow for the background, which just gives me a little bit of room to add some mounting foam there so I can pop that up. And one more tiny little piece here. Okay, I'm going to seat that right across the middle there. And add a little floral element. So I've gone ahead, I've cut the petite forget-me-nots, and you can give these a little bit of forming just around your finger. You can use a ball stylus tool if you like. I'm going to add some Victorian velvet distressing just a little bit to the edge here, just to kind of tone in that sort of old rose card we've used. There we go. Bring in, oops. There we go. Got a little something on there. A little bit of glue there, and pop that on just opposite. Give that a second to set up. And I've got a smaller one that I've done with some of the leaves. So what we'll do is we will pop those into place. I like to use glue dots for the flowers because I find it's easier to move them around if you like. So just underneath that edge with the word, it's a nice little spot for the flower. Pop that into place, right underneath there. And then you can move your petals up and give it a little form and shake if you like. Give it some movement. And I've got some of the leaves. I've just cut these out of white. So we'll add a few around the base. It's so pretty having them just tucked underneath the edge of the flowers like that. And you can trim off the stems if you want them just a little bit shorter too. Whoops. Pop those into place. There we go. And I'll put one up on the top here. Just around that little one. So pretty. So you have a beautiful card, recessed background to it, and you've added that die cut background and kind of done a little bit of pattern building too. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the video. This is just one way you can do a recessed card that gives it a much different look. Look for us on our YouTube video. We have so many more for you to watch there.